mammals, human, actually before life, before, well, there was bacteria before that. Let's see. So, I believe it started with plants taking in the carbon, since they were, I believe they were here. Well, I mean, it's not just plants. It can be any type of bacteria that utilizes carbon dioxide in order to process simple sugars. But plants, bacteria, whatever utilizes photosynthesis or fermentation, took in the carbon from the atmosphere. Started there. As life evolved, eventually the oxygen that the plants gave off filled the atmosphere, helped create the helped create the ozone layer. It may not. Is that correct?
Makes sense to me.
As time went on, and creatures began to develop from small forms of bacteria. The creatures, not just humans, but any type of creature that can go through cellular respiration through the use of oxygen that was given off by plants, then began taking it in, the oxygen, and then through the use of through daily function, into which tissues used up the oxygen and gave it back in the form of carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is then released into the atmosphere and reabsorbed back to plants.
Okay, cool. Okay. So atmosphere to plants. Okay, and then the plants are giving... So this arrow, they're giving oxygen or carbon to humans, or both, or none.
Sorry. They would give off O2. They take in the carbon from the atmosphere, or more properly, carbon dioxide.
Okay.
Plants take in the carbon dioxide. Plants use the carbon dioxide in order to form simple sugars. Simple sugars produce the byproduct of oxygen. Oxygen is then given off to any type of creature that utilizes oxygen, and then those creatures give off CO2 to the atmosphere.
Okay, cool. Nice. So one other thing you mentioned earlier was coal. If we're going to fit coal into your carbon cycle, is there a way you think you could add that to your diagram? So how does coal get its carbon?
If carbon is pressurized over time, I believe that's how coal is formed.
Okay.
So, not all carbon... I mean, naturally, not all carbon is going directly to plants. It can go to many different things. Within the Earth's crust, as you go deeper within the Earth's crust, the pressure becomes greater and greater, and so at a certain point, the carbon within the Earth's crust would eventually become so pressurized that it condenses into coal.
Okay. Cool.
So, I guess kind of can just...
Okay. So you just pressurize that and make coal. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Alright, cool. Anything else you want to add to that diagram?
I'm sure I'm missing all sorts of things, but not that I can think of.
That's good, that makes sense. Okay, let's try nitrogen now. So, I remember you said nitrogen's in the atmosphere. Lots of nitrogen in the atmosphere.
Absolutely. Which nitrogen cycle, honestly, it's kind of more of a back and forth, see, because well, I guess so.
Okay.
Not 100% sure about that.
It's okay, just what you think.
So nitrogen in the atmosphere gets taken up by any creature that utilizes just standard air in order to go through cellular respiration. So we absorb the nitrogen, and we give off certain byproducts ourselves that also produce nitrogen. For example, I know in it's not uric acid. No. Ammonia, which does contain nitrogen, is contained in urine.
Okay.
So that's one way on how we release the nitrogen, and that is eventually evaporates and sent back up into the atmosphere.
Okay, great. So why don't you draw that out then? So you have the atmosphere.
Actually, it's not just urine. It's several types of waste.
Okay, cool. So things are just taking that from the atmosphere. So if you had like a human or a cow or whatever, they would probably be like right here on your diagram.
Right.
Okay. Cool. So they're taking it into the atmosphere, then they're excreting waste, and that returns into the atmosphere. Cool. All right. Nice. So the last one, what would you draw for phosphorus?
This one's definitely a bit harder since, like I said, I can't.
Just what you think. Just what you think.
Let's see. Let's say phosphorus can be found in just
so we know it's in living things.
Right.
That's why you put a living thing. We'll start there and see if we can think of a way it could get in.
Let's see. Well, it can definitely get in through. Like I said, I have no doubt that it's in several different types of products that we consume or use on a daily basis, and through that usage, we either consume it or we absorb it.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think some of those products would be like? Like food or water or like minerals or air?
It's definitely. I'd definitely say minerals.
Okay.
So we can. So certain minerals that we consume can contain phosphorus. So I guess it'd kind of be like, instead of us taking it from the air, like how carbon or nitrogen's done, we would take it more from the earth itself.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah. Earth creates foods or minerals that contain phosphorus. We use, consume, or simply absorb the phosphorus from these minerals formed from the earth. And much like how we give off nitrogen, we give off, I'd say, certain types of waste that come from living creatures would give the phosphorus back to the earth.
Okay.
Or the minerals simply are broken down over time and release it straight back to the earth.
Okay. Okay. So how do living things get these minerals? I mean, most living things don't eat like rocks or anything.
Right. Well, just because we don't eat rocks, but rocks can be used. But minerals and rocks are definitely used in daily life. And I want to say it's probably within certain types of vitamins and minerals that we consume.
Okay, so like stuff that's in the food.
Right.
Okay. Great. Alright, nice. Okay, so last thing before we get on the computer. Alright, so here's a little scene. Anywhere in that picture that you think has phosphorus, nitrogen, or carbon, put a P, C, or N. And if you don't think it has any, you don't have to put anything.
Let's see.
Go ahead and narrate what you're doing.
I would not doubt... while I'm not 100% sure on where phosphorus is, I definitely know it's actually going back to... Sorry, I thought that was my phone.
That's just the computer.
It's definitely probably one of the smaller compounds. While it's not as abundant as nitrogen or oxygen within the atmosphere, it's definitely one of the smaller compounds. Like how I said, nitrogen makes up more like 77%, and air makes up 22%. That 1% containing all sorts of different materials, phosphorus would be a part of that.
Okay.
So, I believe the thermo reactions that are taking place on the sun in order to produce the heat and light that it does, the combustion reactions, that involves phosphorus. Actually, all that entire reaction would involve carbon, phosphorus, nitrogens. And then the atmosphere and air itself would contain... as I said, contain all three of those.
Okay.
In varying degrees.
Sure.
Let's see. Trees are a big source of... definitely a big source of carbon. It's rabbit, it's a living creature, so it would definitely have... it's definitely made of carbon, and it would discrete nitrogen. And because it's discreting nitrogen, the soil itself would contain nitrogen.